Hi, my name is Noel Jones, and I'm the Regional Executive Chef with Compass Group and Eurest. And I'm here to tell you that we're going to start this amazing new YouTube channel, which is going to feature a lot of dishes and techniques that I've learned over the years. My background is I grew up in Ireland, and I started cooking in kitchens and working in kitchens as a dishwasher at 14 years old. And moved up, and now I'm the regional executive chef, as I said. So, it took a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work and time away from family as well. But, the rewards of this business and watching customers be satisfied with what we do is what gets me up in the morning to want to do this. So, what we're going to do in these YouTube channel videos is just really to kind of show you basic techniques to some more advanced techniques, things that you can try out at home. With your families, or your friends coming over for dinner. Hopefully, you'll be able to, go in and enjoy. And then let me know if there's anything. You can share some comments with me and let me know what you'd like me to do moving forward in other videos, and we'll be happy to do that. So please stay tuned. Thank you. All right, guys. So today's class is going to be about the proper way to actually prepare a piece of salmon. This is going to be prepared with the skin on. Okay, this is how you should buy it. If you don't like the skin, I would definitely have your fishmonger take the skin off for you, because it can be a little complicated. Maybe in another video we'll do that as well, show you that whole technique. So when you buy the fish, people sometimes think, well, the fish was kind of slimy, that's normal, that's what you want it to be. That means it wasn't rinsed off in water. You certainly don't want the fish to be put into a water bath or anything like that to clean it. Just take it home, take it out, paper towel, and just wipe down the skin, okay? Now there's definitely, I can see from here, that they've done a pretty okay job of taking the scales off, because you have to remove the scales, and always ask again your fishmonger to do that. However, they didn't do an amazing job, because they're still seeing some here. It's hard to notice it, but you can see the brighter silver color. That tells me, and I can also just rub my fingers and I can feel it. So what you want to do then is you want to remove that. Now, professionally, what we do is we would normally do it with the salmon as whole, but obviously, you're not going to be buying a whole fish normally for your family. So what you're going to do is, this is what we call a fish scaler. This is a professional tool that we use, and you can see where all the scales just kind of fly off, and you can see not such a great job on this particular fish, but it's not terrible either. So if you can, most people won't have this. So what you can use is the back of your knife, okay? I would particularly take a dull knife. I would not use a very sharp knife, because you don't want to, because your blade's going to be going upwards. So again, you're just going to be scraping the fish, and what you want to use constantly, you're going to be using paper towels to help wipe down your knife. It can be messy. Usually when you catch a fish, and if it's like you're out fishing and you catch something and you're going to scale it at home, the recommendation I would have is to put it into the sink. A lot of times we'll take a garbage bag and kind of line the inside, so you kind of wrap the fish around with the garbage bag, and then you're just scaling like this, because these scales will go everywhere, and you'll find in about 3 months time, you'll see one sticking on the wall. So again, take off as many as you can, okay? And you can see they're still kind of flying off here. And then what we'll do is we'll just clean up around it. Get any loose ones off. Clean off the back of the knife. Now, when you're cutting it, you'll have to check, make sure you can see the pin bones are gone from here. Again, this is something you want your fishmonger to do, because they can be really hard to find unless you know exactly where to look. And then what you want to do then is this belly fat. There's a lot of belly fat here. Some people like that. It's okay to eat it if you want, but I always recommend taking this off. You could take it and use it for something else if you'd like. You can make a salmon cake with it. It comes out really good if you ground it up and make salmon cake. There's also a piece right here, just at the other side of the salmon. You want to remove that. And again, this can all be used without the skin, obviously. You take the skin off if you want to make a salmon cake. So if you were going to go ahead and try to figure out how to actually take the skin off, you would start here and you would just bring your knife down and then just move the knife along the actual bottom of the skin. So with that said, Usually if you go to buy a piece of salmon and you only want it for 2 or 3 people, you should always tell the person who's cutting your salmon to please give us the thicker part. You don't want to be going with the bottom part. Okay, this is kind of the tougher end of the tail, because obviously that's how the fish swims. So we're going to take this off. There's nothing wrong with this piece. Certainly we can use it. And then you're going to portion what size you want. Usually about 6.5 to 7 ounces is a good size portion of fish. Again, you can go larger or smaller if you'd like, depending on what you're going to do with it. And we're going straight down. Some people will actually take it at an angle like this. I just like it straight down, because this way I can, when I'm cooking this piece of fish, when I show you how to sear it properly, the fish will cook better because it's the same thickness all the way through. If you were to cut it sideways and have the skin on it, it's going to be very challenging for you to cook that salmon, because you're going to have a well done piece, a medium well, a medium, and a medium rare piece. And that's not what we want to do. So this is like the perfect piece of fish. Okay, so next part of the video, I'll show you exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break away into the pan over here. And one of the things that what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how to sear it, keeping the skin on the pan, and you want crispy skin. Okay, you don't need to dip the skin in flour or anything like that. You can just go straight in. It's all about the temperature in the pan. And then at the end, we'll show you how to season the fish. And we're just going to be using some lemon, some fresh thyme, and a little bit of unsalted butter. Always, always, always cook with unsalted butter. Okay? Thank you. All right, guys. So next part of this, and I wanted to tell you that obviously we've taken all of the scales off. Salmon is nice and clean. No pin bones in here. Perfect piece of salmon. So one last thing that we want to do here is, as we're going to go ahead and put this in a pan and we're going to sear it, again, we're going to season with salt. You can use black pepper, white pepper. People say like, well, it should be white pepper for fish and black pepper. It really doesn't matter. That's an old, tale. You can use whatever you feel like you'd like to use. Whatever pepper you like and seasoning you like is what you should use for your fish. So again, what you also, when you're cooking, you can use, there's different oils now. There's all the different types: coconut, avocado, grapeseed. Grapeseed is one of the highest flash points, so that's a good one. I would recommend that you never ever use olive oil when you're going to be cooking any kind of item, because olive oil it's an expensive item and it should be used for finishing, and also it tends to become, the taste gets very strong when you cook high heat. So my recommendation would be, my biggest preference has always been canola oil, but you can certainly use grapeseed oil as well. So the last thing we're going to do with this piece of fish is, because what tends to happen when people start to sear the fish, the reason that the fish starts to cook unevenly and they're seeing their skin not be crispy all the way is because underneath the skin there's always going to be a layer of moisture. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do again is take the back of the knife and we're just going to scrape very lightly. You're not pushing down on the fish because you don't want to break the skin or damage the flesh. And all we're doing is, and it's not much because we've already done a good job cleaning it, there's a little bit of moisture. It's hard to see it maybe on the camera, but there's a little bit of moisture there. And again, that's all going to be a big problem for us when we're going to sear that fish. So again, lightly taking this last effort to do this, take any of the extra moisture. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to season it. So taking it there, a little bit of salt. Okay, both sides, pepper, and now this piece of fish is ready to be cooked. All right, guys, so here we are. We're getting ready to go ahead and sear this fish. Beautiful piece of salmon. Again, you want to start off with a pan that's being preheated. You do not want to start off with a cold pan, and you don't want the pan to be so hot. So you want to make sure, you'll get used to it over time. When you turn on your heat, you want your heat on somewhat between low and medium. Okay, you don't want it to be just piped up to high. It's just going to burn, obviously, and then when you put that fish into the pan, again, it's going to want to jump out of the pan. That's what happens. So we're going to start off just a little bit of canola oil. Make sure it's coated nicely in the bottom. Again, taking the piece of fish. Now, when restaurant chefs, and how we're always taught when we're young, is, there's only so many times when you start to put that into the pan that you do it wrong and you start to get burnt on that part of your fingers. And that doesn't feel when you have to work a 6-hour shift in service and you're working with a burn. So what you want to do is be very careful. You never put the fish in on the back of the pan and move it this way. You always put the fish in from the front of the pan and move it away from you. Okay? So you take the fish and you can see I'm just can hear that little sound it's making. So that tells me that the pan is at the right temperature for me. So I'm going to put the fish down. Now, what you want to do, and what you'll see a lot of chefs do in restaurants, they'll primarily hold the fish down with their hands, okay? And they'll just make sure that all parts of the skin are touching the pan. That's very important because that's what's going to give you an even, crispy skin. If you don't do that, if you leave this alone on its own, what's going to happen is the fish is going to jump a little bit on certain areas. There might be a little bit of moisture, and you're going to get spots on your skin, which is going to be soft, crispy, soft and crispy. That's not what you want. You want crispy skin across, okay? So another way to do it is lightly press. And I see people, you know, when they grill all the time and they go up and you say, you know, how do you like your burger cooked? And they grab the spatula and they press down and all of the greatness goes right out of the burger. That's not what you do. It's got to be light. Light pressure. All you're trying to do is make sure that that nice, beautiful piece of salmon is sitting on this pan just the way we want it, okay? So, and the way I do this, and the way I always tell people to do this, when you're cooking it, you don't have to be going around scraping it, trying to figure out, is it getting stuck? If you have a good saute pan, a non-stick saute pan, and you've done what I've just told you, it's going to be fine. The salmon will actually tell me when it wants to be turned. And the way I want to do this is I'm going to take this piece of fish all the way to about 3/4 done on the skin side down. So you can see it cooking all the way up. Okay, the last thing we're going to do, and I'll show it to you in the next part of the video, will be the actual fish being turned, okay, and then finished. And that's it. Okay, so it's 3/4 of the way on the skin. So again, I can't say it enough. You see people, they do it all the time. They're going around, they're scraping it, they're touching this thing before it even has the chance to actually get crispy. And that's what causes the skin to get shriveled. And also they start to break it. And then, and again, the fish will tell you, like a burger or a steak on the grill, if you try to turn it and it's not ready to be turned because it's not ready, it won't release from the grill. Okay, if your grill is properly treated and how you're doing certain things, and the same as your pan, you got to make sure just leave it the way it is, and eventually, like I said, when it's 3/4 of the way done, I'll show you, it'll release and it'll be perfect. All right, guys, so here we are. The fish, like I was telling you on the last portion of the video, it's actually starting to tell me that it's ready. See how it's almost all the way up, and it's just been seared on the skin. Okay, you have not done anything. It hasn't been turned over. I haven't really touched this piece of salmon since it went into the pan. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, so once I turn this, we're going to use a technique that's going to be very similar to what you do when you baste, you know, your turkey or a piece of chicken or something like that you're cooking. They call it in restaurants, we call it arrosé, which means to baste. Okay, it's a French word, that's what we use. So we're going to turn it, immediately hit it with the butter, some fresh thyme, squeeze a lemon juice, and we're going to baste it. And once that's basted, it's done. And that flavor and all that butter and all that flavor, you can use that if you'd like as part of the dish. Okay, we're going to just use this actually with a very small salad done with just simple lemon juice, a little bit of salt, and some olive oil. So that's it. So what we're going to do now, as you can see, I'm just going to turn the fish over. You can see perfectly beautiful piece of crispy skin all the way around. Next thing we're going to do, take a piece of butter. Again, it's going to smoke a little bit, that's normal. And then we're going to hit it with some lemon juice. And one of my favorite sounds in a restaurant kitchen, or any kitchen, is when I touch and I put the fresh thyme, you're going to hear it kind of, it does a little crackling sound. Okay? And that's a great sound because you know all those oils are coming out of that fresh thyme. And then all we're going to do is just take it. And again, when you're cooking fish, you know, certain fish, obviously you're going to cook it all the way. Salmon, you know, you can use salmon as sashimi. It can be raw, okay? But if you're going to cook it for home and you know it's from a reliable source that you're buying it from, and I would say that would be a fishmonger, and you know when it was caught, okay? You can certainly serve salmon at medium rare temperature, okay? A lot of people don't want to do that way, and that's fine, but if you want to take it all the way, you can. So again, what you're seeing here is, you can see the butter has just turned a little golden brown, and what we're doing is just putting a little baste on it. And now this is done. And next part of the video, we'll just show you plating it up. Alright guys, so last thing we're going to do now is just go ahead and just plate it up. So this fish is perfectly cooked. We're just going to put it over here like this, just to pat it dry a little bit, just to make sure there's no grease on it. Simply what we're going to do here, a little bit of olive oil, a good quality, extra virgin, first cold pressed olive oil. A little bit of lemon juice. Very, very simple. And again, we're going to do like risotto in these filmings. We're going to do pasta. We're going to do a lot of different things, so you can actually take the salmon recipe that we just did. You can do it for anything you'd like. A grill item, over risotto, over a pasta dish, whatever you feel like. Or just like we're going to do now, with just a little bit of salad. Perfect for the summer. And there it is. Beautiful piece of salmon.